Okay, let's do this. On the night after a really excellent TNA pay-per-view in Slammiversary, that you can go back and check that out here on the Pop playlist, unless you're watching it on the WWE Raw playlist, and then just go either over to the TNA pay-per-view playlist or to the Pop playlist, and you can watch both of these videos back to back. You can see what my thoughts of both shows. And of course, we're going to be talking Raw tonight, but I do want to mention a couple things real quick, a little housekeeping like I always do before we get started. First off, number one, I am really happy with the pay-per-view last night. Very happy with it, or 2 nights ago, I guess in this case. Sunday night's pay-per-view. I was very happy with it. It was very good, very well done. Kudos to everyone in the TNA locker room for putting on a tremendous pay-per-view. Like I mentioned before, for those of you that don't watch TNA, and I'm sure that's a lot of you, especially ones watching this video, give it a shot, honestly. I mean, TNA do deserve your dollar. They do deserve an opportunity. I know a lot of people have been burned by the company in the past, but TNA is getting better by the day, and it has a couple pitfalls here and there, but you gotta give it a chance. So everyone in the TNA locker room, man or woman, bust their ass every single day for you, the viewer, to give you the best wrestling that money can buy. And it's going to be a long time if they ever challenge the WWE. But when it comes down to it, TNA's got some great talent that you probably have never even heard of. So take a shot on TNA. So this Thursday night, when you're have nothing else better to do, then why don't you just flip on Spike TV at 9 o'clock and just watch a little bit of Impact Wrestling, and maybe, just maybe, you might realize that there's more to life than the WWE. That being said, it's time to talk WWE. But no, before I get started, I do also want to mention some more housekeeping. I talked to Ben today, and Ben is really psyched about getting you guys a lot, and I do mean a lot, of content in the very near future. And by very near future, as early as today, and maybe beyond. I mean, there's going to be a couple music reviews. He's got a video game review for us as well, and he went to, I think, either 1 or 2 concerts recently, so he's going to be giving us a recap of those, and I don't know, he may even have some audio from said concert, so keep tuned for that. I'm not sure on that, I'm just guessing. So, it's been a day, to say the least. Sorry, I'm a little sleepy. I actually have to leave for work in about 9 hours, so I need to get ready for work soon. Not work, get ready for bed soon. I don't know why I said get ready for work soon. Like I said, it's been a long night, so, situations fell through with Will today. He's pretty busy right now, as he told you guys in the Will tutorial, so, hopefully very soon we're going to get him some more Will tutorials. He's got some more in the can, and, since Will's the only person in the world that can get a hold of Mr. Flashback, yeah, that's coming in the near future as well. So Mr. Flashback is going to be doing Santa with Muscles, as well as a review that was picked specifically for Mr. Flashback. And I'm not going to tell you what that is. You will find out at the end of the Santa with Muscles review. Also, like I said, there's still going to be stuff upcoming from AJ later this week. AJ's Weekend Movie Reviews is going to be talking about, excuse me, several films, as well as the releases for this week, The Purge and The Internship, and hopefully, knock on wood, Francis Ha. So, let's hope that happens. Francis Ha should be coming to Athens this weekend. If that's the case, I'm going, because I had to sit through the god-awful Hangover 3. So, because I did that, AJ, you're going to sit there while I enjoy my girl, Greta Gerwig, and Francis Ha. So, there's always that. Now, programming notes for this week. Today, it is Monday, so we are going to be talking, not Monday, long day. God, I'm so tired, sorry. Today is Tuesday, so we're going to be talking WWE Monday Night Raw, and tomorrow and Thursday, I don't know yet. We'll find out what's going to be going on with that. We might be doing the Fast Food Boulevard review somewhere down the road, sometime this week. Friday morning, we're going to talk TNA Impact like we always do. And then Saturday, we're going to do NXT and SmackDown, and we're also going to be doing something on Sunday as well. And I'm going to guess Sunday is also going to be the return of the Will tutorial. Hopefully Mr. Flashback, and of course Friday night, schedule permitting, we're going to get the AJ's movie reviews of The Purge and The Internship, and hopefully some other things as well. So now that I've spoken my piece, AJ, turn off your television, we can get into last night's Hartford, Connecticut live edition of WWE Monday Night Raw. So we start off the show with something very surprising. Stephanie McMahon. So Stephanie comes out to the ring to start the show, and Stephanie was just on television recently, did a taped vignette for NXT revealing the brand new NXT Women's Championship, which looks awesome and puts the butterfly belt to shame. So I'm hoping sometime down the road that they get rid of the butterfly belt. I hate the Divas title. It looks so freaking gaudy and ugly. No one should want that championship. They need to bring back the original WWE Women's title and have that be the championship. If anything, they can change the design of it if they want to do that, but either way, bring back the women's title and not the Divas title. I hate the butterfly belt. I hate it so much. Stephanie comes out and goes, you know what? It feels great to be back on Raw because it's been so long. It's been so long since we've seen Stephanie on our televisions on Raw, that is. So she's had to make an executive decision tonight, and she's making it not only as an executive, she's also making it as a wife and a mother. And she's not going to allow Triple H to compete in the ring tonight against Curtis Axel, which if you were following the WWE app, which I actually do because it actually helps write these reviews, to be totally honest, and I'll mention that in a minute. If you were following the app or if you were watching any of the wrestling news sites earlier today, you would see that they announced 2 matches for tonight, well, last night's Raw, and that would be Triple H versus Curtis Axel in a rematch, and The Shield taking on Randy Orton and Hell No. So we're going to be talking about that later as we get on. So basically she says, I'm not going to let him compete tonight, and you fans out there are extremely selfish to want to see Triple H wrestle tonight knowing what he got put through by Brock Lesnar and the subsequent attack from Curtis Axel the Monday night on Raw after Extreme Rules. So this prompts Vince to come out. The fans were chanting for Vince, and they got him. So Vince comes out with his normal swagger like he always does. And he basically says, I want to ask something of you, the WWE Universe. And I don't do this very often, so I want you to heed to this. How about you don't boo my daughter? And of course, that prompts the crowd, the entirety of the crowd to boo him. And boo them both, actually. So she says, you know what? She's got feelings, too. So Triple H will not compete tonight. Not at all. He's like, do you want Triple H to compete? Do you want Triple H to risk permanent injury, risk life and limb? This man's a father. This man has a life. This man does not need to entertain you guys anymore. He's done enough for this business. And we don't want him to jeopardize his future as a functioning adult, I guess you could say. A functioning person, given the fact that if he takes too many more beatings, obviously they're basically saying that he's going to end up in a wheelchair. So, Vince said, WWE is family entertainment, and you want a blood sport, which is what WWE is apparently not. Yeah. So, this is something that said that I'm sure pissed off a lot of people on the internet. Basically said that facing Curtis Axel, it's beneath Triple H. And this was said numerous times. Stephanie even said that Curtis Axel was beneath Triple H. I know that's just the storyline, but yeah, I'm sure the WC were thinking right there. Yep, Paul, exactly what we're thinking too. That's what you're trying to do. Bury Joe Hennig. I'm not that way, but I know a lot of people in the WC are. So, at this point, here comes the Shield. Interesting. So, Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins all come down via the top of the steps at the top of the arena. And Vince and Stephanie get the heck out of Dodge while WWE is on commercial. And we go over to the app, and we see that we're going to get our 6-man tag right away. So, this match was really good. The Shield 6-man tags lately have been top-notch on Raw lately. Have been top-notch on SmackDown lately. Anytime you get the Shield in a match lately, it's been gold. And anytime you get Daniel Bryan in a match lately has been phenomenal. Not to steal anything from AJ Styles, Daniel Bryan is the real deal. And I'll say that a lot during this, actually, because there's another person I want to talk about later that's the real deal. But we'll talk about him a little bit later. So, this is the match we got, folks. It was the Shield against Hell No and Randy Orton. So we got midway through the match, as we always do. And Seth Rollins leaps up, drop kicks Kane back into the corner, and tag into Dean Ambrose. And on top of that, he hits repeated headbutts tags Rollins back into the ring, so the Shield are cutting off the ring right away. A double suplex. Kane tries to double suplex them both. There's a momentary botch, but he ends up getting off the double suplex, which comes off more like a brain buster, because I don't know if there was a sandbag or not, or miscommunication, but it didn't look the greatest, to be totally honest. I expect Matthew to put this on Botchmania. So, tagging to Randy Orton. He hits Vintage Orton, and if you haven't watched Pop before, let me remind you what Vintage Orton is. Clothesline, clothesline, duck the opponent's clothesline into the Samoa Joe-style snap power slam. And like he's been doing lately in the matches with the Shield, he power slams Ambrose as well for good measure. So, they go for the snakebite DDT, and they end up getting both Rollins and Ambrose on, and goes for the snakebite that way. And basically, Roman gets kicked, and a nice leaping back kick to the head by Seth Rollins, and they get a 2 count off of it. Tag back into Ambrose. And 7 well-placed stomps right into the lower abdomen of Randy Orton. And he drops the power drive elbow, goes for a lateral press, only gets a 2 count out of it. So, charging knee strike from, charging knee strike from Ambrose. Still gets a 2 count. Tag back into Seth Rollins. And he drives the elbow in numerous times, still only gets a 2 count out of it. Tag back into Roman Reigns. He mounts him for the punches and goes for a pin, gets a 2 count out of it again. So, locks on a full Nelson from a grounded position. Now, Orton gets up, but this full Nelson is still firmly locked on, and Orton, starts to fade, and he starts to go down. And he goes down again, but Orton ends up trying to elbow out of it, and a palm strike right into the abdomen from Roman Reigns stops that momentum. Nice bump from Randy Orton. Really nice wrestling school 101 bump from Randy Orton right there. Perfect. So, anyway, so Ambrose tagged in, and once again they're targeting the abdomen of Randy Orton for some reason, because Ambrose stomps it over and over again, and nails the high-velocity whip, tag back into Roman Reigns, and, oh, by the way, if you were not aware, the high-velocity whip is pretty much a whip into the corner that is taken with so much speed and power that it, like a ricochet effect, like a whiplash-style effect, and it basically causes the opponent to collapse to the canvas. If you were curious, that's what I was trying to say. Because they use high-velocity whip a lot in this recap, so we'll talk about that later. Tagging to Reigns. Reigns hits a headbutt, locks in a rear chin lock, and Orton counters with a backdrop suplex, and Rollins tagged in. He goes off the top rope, and the Brian Pillman counter sits him down. Brian Pillman counter, by the way, if you were not aware. I'm just going to describe some of these things, too. I talk about a lot of things, and I mention a lot of things in different ways than other reviewers do. So I'm going to say the Brian Pillman counter is exactly this. The opponent climbs the top rope, dives off, and Randy Orton counters with a drop kick to that opponent when they're leaping off the top rope, which is something Brian Pillman used to do all the time. So that's why I call it a Pillman counter. So tagging to Seth Rollins, hot tag to Daniel Bryan. Bryan comes in with a drop kick, sends Reigns off the ring apron. He backflips off the top rope, ducks the clothesline, and comes off with a hooking clothesline, goes for the yes kicks, and nails Rollins with the buzzsaw. Well, actually, no. I'll reverse that. He nails the buzzsaw kick on Ambrose after Rollins climbs the top rope, and Bryan catches him, so he catches him before he can attack from the top. So, Rollins is perched up top. Bryan hits a top rope Hurricane Rana, and Rollins lands on Ambrose. So, it worked both ways, actually. It worked really well for Daniel Bryan. Suicide dive to Roman Reigns, and a missile drop kick on Ambrose, and 2 3/4. So, Ambrose kicks out. Goes for the no lock, and Rollins and Reigns make the save. So, the tag team champions are on top before Ambrose can tap out. Double goozle from Kane, going for a double choke slam. Reverse leaping kick to the side of the head from Seth Rollins. Into the spear from Roman Reigns, so Kane's down and out. Randy Orton slides in with the RKO and Seth Rollins. And he goes for the RKO again on... He goes for the RKO again on Ambrose. He gets shoved off into Daniel Bryan, so Orton goes down. And he pretty much knocks heads with Bryan. Bryan gets hooked up for the Justice is Served, which is that, whatever you want to call it, the reverse bulldog, the dangerous bulldog, the bulldog DDT, the bulldog driver, whatever you want to call it. I like to call it Justice is Served. And clean win for the Shield. Great match. Really great match, actually. Very much enjoyed that contest. So we see Daniel Bryan in the back, and you know what? Again, he's totally believing all of this is all his fault. He's got the Snitsky disease. He thinks everything, but it's reversed because Snitsky thought everything wasn't his fault. Bryan thinks everything is his fault. So it's reverse Snitsky. Reverse Snitsky. Wow, that's easy to say. They say, you know what? It's my fault that you guys lost, that we all lost tonight, and you guys just don't respect me. But the reality that I see right here is you guys both think I'm the weak link of this group. So I want another match tonight. And my match tonight is going to be just to beat the living respect out of someone else, just so you guys will finally respect me. Interesting. We get another Daniel Bryan match tonight. I have no problems with this. And given what happens later on in the show, I really don't have any problems with this. But we'll talk about that later on. Triple H shows up with his gear, dragging it behind him. He says, where's Vince's office? He barges into Vince's office and Stephanie's in there. Basically, it said Curtis Axel isn't worth it. Triple H is clear, so he's allowed by doctor's orders to get in the ring tonight with Axel. So he basically says, Vince goes, get your ego out of this. And Triple H's like, you really want to talk to me about ego? So he says, I'm going to go to the ring tonight. I'm going to wrestle Curtis Axel, and there's no one's going to stop me. Is it going to be you that's going to stop me? Vince just looks at him, pauses for a second, and says, you know what? Don't do something tonight that you're going to regret later. Okay. So we get our next match of the evening of the newly repackaged, I guess you want to call them repackaged, Jimmy and Jey Uso, and they're doing the I guess a tribal dance, I guess you would call that, the native dance of Tonga, because obviously they are the sons of Rikishi, so doing that, and they've got face paint on the side of their face, so they kind of get like a Samoan SWAT team style vibe, but they're baby faces, you can tell. And they're facing off against No Days Off, Darren Young, and the big deal Titus O'Neil, the prime time players, which have been so badly utilized in WWE, it's totally not funny. So we go midway through the match, and Titus hits a backbreaker, tags in Darren Young, and basically the face paint is kind of like a rebirth. It's basically like it's going to give them another edge. Well, we'll see what happens. So a front face lock by Young tags in Titus O'Neil. Titus hits a cutthroat into a flip slam and locks on a front chancery. So a reverse chin lock locked on. He nails a glancing clothesline right to the top of the head and gets a 2 count off of it. So he locks on the cravat and he charges in, but catches the shoulder into the ring post, tagging to Darren Young, and Jimmy Uso comes in with a Samoan drop. He hits the Rikishi-style butt avalanche in the corner, and a standing sidekick, and comes off the top with a Superfly Splash for the 1-2-3. So, newly a return for the Usos, and hopefully you're actually going to see some more from Rikishi's kids now than just being job fodder on Superstars and the main event. So that's what we've had lately. Usos have been losing a lot on Superstars, but if you haven't noticed, read a lot of the recaps from the house shows on the weekends, and you'll see that the Usos and the Primetime Players have had quite a rivalry in the last several weeks on Raw's house shows. Interesting. So we get our rubber match, which I thought that's what last week was, but apparently not. So it's going to be the current #1 contender to Dolph Ziggler's World Heavyweight Championship, Alberto Del Rio, taking on Biggie Langston with the absolutely gorgeous AJ Lee. And, of course, ADR is accompanied to the ring by Ricardo Rodriguez. This is the 5th time they've wrestled. And it's really funny because they both have won 2 times. So Del Rio won on main event, which most people probably didn't see, and last week on Raw. Well, Langston turned it around on last week's SmackDown and he won, and of course 2 weeks ago on Raw he won. So, like I said, this is the 5th match between the two and probably going to be the last of the series. So, basically there's a driving shoulder into the corner by Biggie Langston, and he misses the charge this time, and Del Rio hits a step-up enziguri and goes for the German, but it gets blocked, and he goes for the cross arm breaker, and it gets thrown off. And when Langston is prone, he hits the grounded side kick to the side of the head. Goes for the cross arm breaker again, and Biggie rolls out and puts Del Rio on the ropes. And it kind of didn't work very well. There's a break at 4 because of the cross arm breaker, the Juji Gatami is still applied. So Del Rio has to release German suplex, which looked awesome, especially given the fact that Big E Langston's such a monster. Locks on the cross arm breaker. Big E tries to break it. And Del Rio utilizes a really interesting way to finish him off. He basically has the cross arm breaker, and he rolls with it, because that's what Big E's doing. He's trying to roll out of it, trying to bomb him out, like the side power bomb that he was using before. Well, what he does this time is when he tries to roll out of it, Del Rio rolls with him and stacks Langston to the point that his legs are against his shoulders, and he hooks the leg and gets a 3 count out of it. So, really a unique finish for that match. Very enjoyable. And like I said, it's a shame that Big E Langston is no longer going to be on NXT too much longer. Obviously, he has to drop the NXT Championship first, if you're picking up what I'm putting down. God, I hate the fact that I know too much about NXT booking for way too long in the advance. But Langston is going to be full-time on Raw and SmackDown, so obviously he can't be on NXT any longer. So, I will say that I wasn't a fan of the leader of the Jamaican bobsled team for the longest time, and you know what? Slowly but surely, I warmed up to it. The big ending, I thought it was terrible. I thought it was a horrible finish. I thought it only worked with certain guys that could sell it properly. But you know what? The more I see it, the more I think it works. And the more I think that Big E Langston as a babyface is going to work very soon. Because I think that Dolph, when he comes back, I think Big E Langston's going to be like, you know what? I beat the #1 contender to your championship twice. Don't you think I should be #1 contender? How about I get a shot at the title? And Dolph's going to be like, no, step back, Biggie. You know, you just stand at ringside and you look tough and let the show off do what he does best, and that's show off. And that's going to lead to some dissension in the ranks. We've already seen Big E and AJ fighting on 2 different occasions, so that is continuing. The browbeating continues of Big E Langston, and you're going to see eventually he's just going to have enough, and he's going to turn babyface. And I don't have a problem with that, because I think it's going to work really well. So the next match we get is Sheamus taking on Mustachio himself, Cody Rhodes. And this match is really good, actually, to be totally honest. This whole show is actually pretty good for wrestling-wise. So Cody, of course, brings out Damien Sandow. And if you saw my SmackDown recap, you saw another one of those feats of intellectual prowess, with this time the cup and ball trick, or the shell game, or thimble rig, I believe is the actual title for it. And, of course, ended up with Sheamus brogue kicking Damien Sandow. We still haven't really had matches between these two. We've had some back in the day, but I think we're leading towards another one, and that's what we're getting at this point. It's really awesome because Cody Rhodes actually gets a legitimate ring entrance this time. That does not happen any longer. Especially the fact that last time we saw Cody Rhodes against Zack Ryder, and it just, yeah, no actual entrance for either one of those guys. Sad panda. So we go midway through the match. Cody Rhodes locks a cravat on, move of the night tonight, on Sheamus, and Sheamus tosses off the front facelock attempt from Cody Rhodes and hits 2 Irish hammers. You know the axe handles, like the ones that Ivan Putski used to use back in the day, the Polish hammers. I call them the Irish hammers. So he nails the Finlay roll, which is the he uses it. Mr. Anderson uses it. It's the fireman's carry into a forward roll. Finlay uses it a lot, so I call it the Finlay roll. And the battering ram, the top rope shoulder block, and basically he sets up white noise, Rhodes elbows out of it, rolls him up, hooks the tights, and still gets a 2 out of it. So it's a nice neck breaker off the ropes, because it's really funny because Sheamus sets up for the brogue kick, and he goes for it, and he gets crotched on the top rope. Cody utilizes this time to grab the back of the neck while he is still stuck up there and drop the reverse neck breaker, so it looked awesome. So Cody goes up top for the standing moonsault, Sean Waltman style, and out of the way, and white noise, brogue kick, over. So win for Sheamus, and after the match is over, he goes to shake Sandow's hand, and Sandow, of course, makes the statement that there's going to be another feat of intellectual prowess on SmackDown this week. Yay. I always love writing those recaps. Ugh, God, I wish I could remember things off the top of my head. But anyway, it's okay. I have notes now, and at least I'm not looking up every 5 minutes like this, which I'm not looking up at anything right now. I'm just kind of looking at Bray Wyatt on YouTube. But we'll talk about that in a minute. So, actually, a little bit longer than that, and about an hour from now, actually. In the segments, at least, not an hour in this video. So, he says he won't shake his hand, It's like, come on, Damo, shake my hand, fella. And he goes to shake my hand. He's like, no, I'm not going to shake your hand. I would not touch your hand for any reason. And what he does is he's like, okay, fine. Then I'll just punch you out of your chair. So he punches him out of the chair, and that's how we end the segment. Okay. Triple H has his gear. He looks peeved as usual, and he says, you know what? I'm going to leave. But next Monday, I'm getting in the ring. And I'm going to wrestle Curtis Axel, and there's nothing you can do about it. So, Daniel Bryan's walking around the backstage, and he's kicking things, like throwing a temper tantrum. And he runs into Ryback. Well, Ryback gets up in his face and says, you better watch what you're doing, and you don't want any of this. And Bryan's like, yeah, I'm not afraid of you. Why should he be? So, I mean, you go ahead and underestimate me, and you'll just see what's going to happen. And he says, I know exactly what's going to happen. You're the weak link, and after tonight, you're going to be the missing link. So we see Curtis Axel and Paul Heyman in there in the back, and they're just chatting it up. And Vince walks in and is like shakes Curtis Axel's hand, introduces himself, and says, you know what? You should be pretty happy that your opponent's not going to wrestle tonight. Obviously, Triple H is not going to be in action. And he's like, yeah, I'm pretty happy. He's like, well, Vince, we'll just see you on SmackDown. Hopefully not another match against freaking Sin Cara. Anyway, he's like, no, well, yeah, we'll see you on SmackDown, but you know what? You're in the ring tonight against John Cena. And guess what? No disqualifications. Didn't say no countouts, said no disqualifications. I'll get back to that later. So, he says, good luck, kid, and he lets him walk away. So, we get another match, Fandango with the absolutely stunning Summer Rae. So, we're a very awesome gold ensemble tonight, taking on the Oddities 2K13 of the most useless person in the WWE roster, Hornswoggle, the most underutilized women's talent WWE has ever had, Natalya Neidhart, and Great Khali. Jerry Lawler actually has a line in this that made me laugh. He basically said that, Jay Leno is a fan of Khali's chin. That made me laugh. So, when did these guys face off last? April 29th. You know how I know that? Because just like when I was talking about Impact, when Devon won the television championship back, I was in attendance for that. Yeah, that was the night me and Will and Alan were at Raw in Columbus at Nationwide Arena. There was a dance-off with Summer Rae and Fandango taking on Khali and Natty. So, Michael Cole said the universe gave Natty and Khali the win. Nuh-uh. I was there live. Fandango won that, and obviously he couldn't because he was the heel, so, I mean, he couldn't win. But we got this match that need not happen. So, Khali hits the overhand chop in the corner twice, and Fandango runs into a back elbow and a big boot. 2 clotheslines, and goes for the choke bomb, the Punjabi plunge, and Fandango goes to the floor. Well, The Miz stops him from leaving, and The Miz is all high and mighty. He's like, haha, I stopped you, and he doesn't realize that Wade Barrett is readying the bullhammer behind him, and when The Miz turns around, boom, done the party, and just knocks The Miz out cold. Raises the Intercontinental Championship, points at both Miz and laying on the ground, and Fandango and Summer Rae at the side of the ramp, and says basically, you're next. So, this is funny because we get Vicky coming out on the app, and Vicky says, Miz, you had no right interfering. As a matter of fact, you pretty much got what you deserved right there. But, you know what? I'm going to let you have your match against Wade Barrett, but it's going to happen right now. So, we get a non-title match with The Miz taking on the Intercontinental Champion, Wade Barrett. 2 pieces of shirts that I just got yesterday. Anyway, so Barrett hits the big boot, and he mounts The Miz with some punches, puts The Miz on the top turnbuckles, and it's a charging kick into the ribs, gets a 2 count out of it. So he chokes Miz on the ropes, and basically, we come back, and Wade gets sent into the barricade, and tossed back into the ring. Miz goes up top for the crown. Barrett charges him and goes for the kick to the ribs, but he misses, and Miz hits that slide-in sunset flip for a 2 count. A dropkick to the knee, setting up for the figure 4 that he should not be using. So the figure 4 is attempted, and Barrett kicks him off. Nails Winds of Change out of nowhere, looks phenomenal like always, and gets 2.5 for it. So at this point, Fandango's music hits, and him and Summer Rae come out, and they start dancing. And as usual, the dance distraction allows for a drop toe hold by The Miz, turned into the figure 4, and Barrett taps out. So, in essence, you've seen both Fandango and The Miz get non-title victories over Wade Barrett. Something tells me at Payback we're getting the three-way finale of this feud. And I'm pretty positive that, much to Will's chagrin, and much to Steve Austin's... well, I don't know what I want to say. Steve Austin's, prediction. We'll go with that. There's a lot bigger word than that, but anyway, I guess we'll use prediction. Steve Austin's bold prediction: Fandango is your next Intercontinental Champion. And that, as DDP used to say, is a good thing. So, he'll feud with both Barrett and The Miz, and he'll teeter the line of babyface and heel, depending on who he faces. So, I think Fandango will go face eventually, but not quite yet. Obviously, he's face against Barrett, but he's not face against The Miz. So, I mean, I guess it depends on who he's facing, whether he's face or heel. But I don't have a problem with that, because I think you got to strike when the iron's hot. And right now, Fandango, regardless if you like him or not, he's white hot. And he's over whether he's getting cheered or booed in the crowds. He is over when the music hits and the Fandangoing starts. He is over like Rover, and that's what he's going to be. And again, I have no problems with this, because I love Fandango. He's awesome. Excuse me. So we had our contract signing with Y2J, Chris Jericho, and Paul Heyman, of course, the advocate for the best in the world, CM Punk. He basically says, you know what, since I'm out here just to feed your massive ego, I'm just going to tell you right to your face why you should show up. When you show up at Payback, you're going to, and Jericho pretty much cuts him off and pretty much finishes the sentence, says, I've been the world champ, you've been WWE champion for 434 days, and he's the best in the world, and, you know, he's got a awesome buzz cut, and he has cool tattoos of, like, an ice cream bar, and, like, pizza, and randomness. So, basically, Heyman signs the contract, and goes, you know what, Jericho, are you truly prepared to face CM Punk in Chicago? In his hometown? You're going to be booed by a partisan crowd that's completely biased towards Punk. You may be the best in the world at what you do, but CM Punk, what he does is make... wow. I can't read this. Make liars out of people who claim the title of best in the world. And Jericho thinks about it for a second and mockingly goes, you know what? How about we do this at SummerSlam in Los Angeles? Heyman's like, no. How about Madison Square Garden, New York City? He's like, tempting, but no. How about here in Hartford? And the fans pop for it, because that's what they're going to do. And again, no. So Jericho signs the contract. He says, you know what? When you act like a jackass, that's what you'll be treated like. So Jericho says the contract so here's where the contract belongs. He has Heyman stand up and unbutton his shirt. He's like, I'm just an advocate. Don't shoot the messenger, or shoot on the messenger in this case. And he's like, you know what? Unbutton your jacket before I rip it off of you. So Heyman does follow suit. And what does Jericho do? He takes the contract, rolls him up, and stuffs it down the front of Heyman's pants and says, see you in Chicago. Great segment. Two awesome mic workers there. Heyman and Jericho put on a great promo for both superstars. And I'm going to go with the fact that I'm going to say right now, Punk's not going to be in Chicago for Payback. I think that Punk's going to be replaced by Curtis Axel, and Curtis Axel is going to destroy Jericho. And then after the match is over, maybe we might see Punk, and he might just stare at Heyman and just shake his head and walk away. I think we will see Punk in Chicago. I don't think he's going to wrestle at Payback. I think Curtis Axel is going to wrestle Jericho at Payback, but we don't know that yet. That's just my pure speculation. So as the WWE app tells us, we're basically going to get a 6-diva tag match with AJ Lee and the Bella Twins taking on the Funkadactyls and the current Divas champion, Caitlyn. So there's a double whip on Brie Bella, and the rear view is nailed for 2, which is the leaping split, sends the butt into the face. So a drop kick is missed, a cross body is missed, then she slams her head into the canvas repeatedly, gets a 2 count off of it, locks in an armbar, tags Nikki in, and goes back to the armbar with a handful of hair. So they go back to the armbar again. She punches out of it, stops the tag with the enziguri kick, tag into Caitlyn. Caitlyn hits a reverse DDT for 2. A forearm knocks Nikki into Brie, and goes to make the tag. AJ drops down off the apron, remembering the fact that the Bellas called her a loser last time. So turnabout is fair play, I guess. And she gets speared for the win, and that's the end of the match. Brie gets speared for the win. Yeah. If you watched Gail Kim and Taryn Terrell on Slammiversary Sunday night, and then watch this, oh god, WWE has to learn. Has to learn. But they're never going to. So we get Kane and Daniel Bryan backstage, and hell no, we're fighting, as they always are lately. It says, basically, Kane's trying to be the voice of reason here. It's very strange. Someone who has hooked someone's nuts up to a vehicle battery, and someone who's pushed up, well, it's Shane McMahon in that case, and someone that, oh, I don't know, pushed Zack Ryder off a ramp while in a wheelchair, and showed absolutely no remorse for it. Yeah. It's weird to see he's the one that has trying to be the voice of reason, but in this situation he is. He goes, you know what, you prove night in after night exactly what you are. You have the most heart of anyone I've ever seen before, and you have the talent, and you know what, you have nothing else you need to prove to me or anyone else. And Bryan just shakes his head. He's like, no, you're wrong. Beating Ryback's going to prove this. Prove it to you, prove it to everyone. And you know what? How about tonight you don't come out? I don't want you here at all. I want to do this myself, for myself, and prove that I'm worthy. So Kane goes, fine, you know what, I'll just stay in the back. Why don't you call me when you find your mind? Because it's obvious you've lost it. And then, after that, oh buddy, we get yet another promo from the Wyatt family. And I've been chatting up these guys. I've been talking about them for the last several weeks on all of my NXT recaps. And I even put them over last week on Raw. Basically what the Wyatt family are, there's a lot of ways to look at it. Excuse me. You take, sorry about that. You take Cape Fear. You take Max Cady from Cape Fear, Robert De Niro. You take Waylon Mercy, the Dan Spivey character from the early 90s. Then you throw in a little bit of, I don't know, maybe, the Firefly family from the Devil's Rejects? Yeah, I think that's what we're looking at. Let me check to make sure. Hold on. Because I don't want to get that one wrong, because I know a lot of people will be mad about me saying that. Yeah! Heck yeah, I was right. So, the Firefly family, the Devil's Rejects, and you just, like... See, Bray Wyatt, in essence, is kind of like David Koresh. He's kind of like a cult leader, is basically what it is. And it's basically the cult of Bray Wyatt. I mean, he has a rocking chair at the ramp at NXT, and he sits in it while Eric Rowan and Luke Harper do his bidding for him. I mean, these are the two monsters you see wearing the lamb masks in the promo. Oh god, this is chilling. This is awesome. This is legitimate, like, horror, and I love it. And I'm telling you right now, when the Wyatt family and the Shield collide, it's going to be spectacular. Now, there's a lot of things you could do with the Wyatt family. Obviously, the smart thing is send them after Reigns and Rollins, and I think that works really well. Bray Wyatt, on the other hand, I mean, he's had some heat with Jericho on NXT. They had a tremendous match on NXT. You can even play up the fact that Jericho shattered his orbital bone, so that's the reason he had to wear that creepy face mask. The only person that's had to do that previously would be Cody Rhodes and The Undertaker. But he had to wear that creepy face mask. He's wearing like this like butcher's apron. It's just like kind of like something at a hostel. I mean, it's just Bray Wyatt is freaky, just freaky. And you know what? he is going to make quite an impact in WWE. I think Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family are going to be huge for this company. And I thought of an idea, and it makes sense to me. What if, how about, you want to make Daniel Bryan into the heel in the Kane feud, and I hate that idea. Obviously, someone is, in essence, Bryan is losing his mind. He is becoming absolutely enamored with the fact that he is the weak link of Hell No. He is the weak link in all his matches. He's not good enough, and he needs somebody to build him back up. Maybe Daniel Bryan needs, I don't know, how about a savior? How about Daniel Bryan looks to Bray Wyatt as his savior, and Bryan joins up with the Wyatt family. And then you have Daniel Bryan kind of like brainwashed, and he does the bidding for Bray Wyatt. He can go after the World and WWE Championships that way. I just sick him on Cena. That's exactly what you do. You have the Wyatt family just jump Cena, and then you can have Kane make the save, and then Daniel Bryan comes out, and Bryan nails Kane and joins the Wyatt family and starts beating the crap out of John Cena. I want to see Daniel Bryan and John Cena. This is the way to do it. And then after that, you can have a realization later down the road. Bryan realizes he's being brainwashed, and somebody talks him out of it, probably Kane. And we reform Hell No, or you just turn Bryan into the babyface world championship contender he needs to be right now. And then you put Bryan and Bray Wyatt and feud them together, and oh god, it's going to be awesome. Just armchair booking, like I always say. But we'll talk about that in just a little bit. And, still got 2 matches left to go, and you know what? This is the real main event of tonight. So we get Daniel Bryan, who I just mentioned, joining the Wyatt family, taking on Ryback. Now, the last time these guys wrestled? An exact month ago, May 3rd, 2013 on SmackDown. And the last time they met, Bryan kind of got steamrolled. But, also noting, Bryan and Ryback tore the roof off the place. And to be totally honest, Ryback didn't have the greatest chemistry with everyone, but Daniel Bryan can have a great match with a broomstick. So, I know it's an old adage, but it's very true. And he carried Ryback to one amazing match on SmackDown. Tonight, well, last night, it was no different. So, basically, we hear the sirens, and I expect Scott Steiner to come out, like I always do. And Ryback comes out with the ambulance. And we go midway through the match, and Ryback ends up going for the Ultimate Warrior Splash, and Bryan gets the knees up. And he goes for the no-lock, but Ryback uses a strength advantage to toss him off. So he stomps Bryan's head in the corner and steps on his face. He forearms him, kicks him down. He goes to whip, ducks the clothesline, and the Luthez press is countered into a half Boston Crab from Daniel Bryan. Very nice. So he locks on the Indian Deathlock, and he rains down those hellacious Bryan Danielson forearms onto the head of Ryback. Gets a 2 count out of it. So the reverse from the whip, Bryan backflips over, and he comes off the ropes, going for the hooking clothesline, of course, but Ryback catches him, clotheslines him over the top rope to the arena floor. So he throws Bryan to the barricade, not once, but twice, and he tosses him back in. Lateral press, gets a 2 count out of it. So he slams him, and drives the knee into the shoulder, and gives the Ultimate Warrior style Gorilla Press slam, gets a 2 count out of it. So 4 stiff headbutts, and charges Bryan into the corner and dives at him and headbutts him for a 2 count. So he stomps on the chest again. The well-placed stomp over and over again to the abdomen, kind of like what happened with Randy Orton and Dean Ambrose earlier on in the show. So he drops an elbow into the lower abdomen, locks on a chin lock, and Bryan elbows out of it. He elbows down, and basically, Ryback just jaws with him, like staring at him and taunting him and calling spots. And on camera, mind you. And he just beels him out of the corner by his beard. So he goes for a charging shoulder block into the corner, and he catches nothing but the ring post. And Bryan drop kicks Ryback chest first into the buckle. He turns around, and Bryan hits the charging drop kick, sends him into the corner. knocks him down. Ryback is on his knees at this point, and Bryan comes in with a leaping drop kick and puts Ryback down. Goes up top for the missile drop kick, and he nails it. And he goes up top, flies all the way across the ring with the flying goat, the swan dive headbutt, and 2 3/4. Ryback barely kicks out. The yes kicks. He ducks the buzzsaw kick at the end, and he powerbombs him. Goes for the deadlift powerbomb, but it's countered into the no-lock, and he's got him center of the ring. Ryback's got nowhere to go, so he's like inching his way over the ropes, trying to drag Bryan over the ropes. He finally grabs the bottom rope, and he breaks the hold. He rolls out to the floor to snap the momentum. He goes for the suicide dive, and just like Daniel Bryan's first match against Chris Jericho in NXT, Ryback moves out of the way, and Bryan goes headfirst into the announce table. So he's pretty much done at this point. So he picks him up and drives him back first into the ring post about 4 times, tosses him back in the ring, and gets a table. Sets the table up in the middle of the ring, and he release powerbombs Bryan through it for the disqualification. So after the match is over, he gets another table, and here comes Super Cena. And right as the table is set up against the barricade for whatever finish is going to happen before the night is over, Cena comes out to protect Bryan with the the WWE Championship belt, basically daring Ryback to get in the ring. Ryback's too smart for it, and at this point, Curtis Axel's music hits. He comes out with Paul Heyman. Ryback leaves to the crowd, and we start our main event. Curtis Axel taking on John Cena in a no disqualification match. So we go midway through the match, and Axel hits a side backbreaker for a 2. He asks Heyman for a chair, and Paul slides it into the ring. Cena blocks the chair, hits Axel with it, and tosses him over the top rope to the arena floor. So, basically, he throws Axel over the announce table and tosses him back in the ring, so Cena's in charge. But Axel catches him with a chair into the ribcage and sends Cena to the floor again. He ducks the chair shot against the ring post, and the chair collides against the ring post. They go back into the ring. There's a standoff, because Axel has the chair, and Cena doesn't want to not fight him, obviously, so he's like, I don't know what to do, so he's just going to stand off. They're going to have a standoff for a second. So he ducks the chair shot, and basically drop kicks the chair back into the face for a 2 count, sets the chair up in the corner, i.e. setting up his own demise, and gets a near fall off a clothesline in the back of the head, does Curtis Axel. So he chokes him on the middle rope and hits the high-velocity whip for a 2 count, locks on an armbar, and presses against the side of the face. So drives the knee in, and the driving elbows from Axel, and the clothesline is ducked, shoulder tackle, and the protobomb, 5-knuckle shuffle. Goes for the attitude adjustment, and Axel grabs the ropes to try to break. Cena charges and hits the chair, knocking him to the arena floor. Someone in WWE watched Slammiversary last night, and they were trying to recreate what happened with Gail Kim, sitting the chair up in the corner and cross-bodying the chair when Taryn Terrell moved out of the way, knocking him to the floor. This is what Cena did, and you know what? I'll say it right now. Gail Kim did it better. So, basically, Cena makes it back in the ring at 10, because of course Heyman says, "Take the count out. You've already done it 3 times. You already done it once before. Take the count out again." So he backs off and doesn't attack Cena and almost gets him counted out. So he pounds away on Cena with the grounded punches, gets the chair again, nails it over the back, makes a lateral press, gets a 2 out of it. So a chair shot again for a 2 count, and another one gets another 2 count. So he goes for it again, hits a shot to the ribs, and he drives the chair into the ribs like pile driving style. He nails the axe to grind, which is the old McGillicudder, the one-handed swinging neck breaker, onto the chair, and Cena kicks out at 2. He goes for the perfect plex on the chair, but Cena counters it into the STF, and he's trying to crawl the ropes, and Axel looks like he's about to tap. Heyman pretty much runs away at this point and grabs the MacBook from the announce table, hands it to Axel, and Axel cracks Cena with it 3 times, and that breaks the hold, knocks Cena to the arena floor. So we get to the floor, and Cena goes for the AA. He's got the fireman's carry. He's walking over to the table by the ringside area. Heyman's begging for Axel's life, like he always does. He drops Axel, and Heyman gets gone after by Ryback. Well, a long day. He gets gone after by Cena, and then here comes Ryback out of nowhere. And he grabs Cena, and just like he did through the LED lights at Extreme Rules, he puts Cena right through the table. And the referee continues the count, and Curtis Axel wins another count-out victory. So, at Payback, Ryback rules. Alright. So, let's look at this. Alright, so Curtis Axel is now 3-0 in WWE Raw matches. 2 wins on John Cena and 1 win against Triple H. I don't have a problem with this. Next week, I think if Triple H does wrestle Curtis Axel, Axel will win clean. No, not clean. Axel will win via chicanery or devious means. One way or another, Axel's going to beat Triple H, and that's what should happen. Curtis Axel beating Chris Jericho or Randy Orton or Sheamus, that needs to happen sooner rather than later. We can't just keep having these matches on SmackDown. 2 matches, 2 weeks in a row with Sin Cara. We need to have more competitive matches for Curtis Axel. So, what did we learn from today, kids? Well, let's see. Stephanie came out, and she really didn't want Triple H to wrestle. And neither did Vince McMahon. But you know what? Triple H is stubborn, and he's going to do it anyway. And next week, no matter if he left this week or not, he's going to wrestle Curtis Axel. And there's not a damn thing any McMahon can do about it. The Shield consistently having tremendous matches with Hell No week after week. This time with Randy Orton. Match was phenomenal. Great win for the Shield. A lot more dissension between Kane and Daniel Bryan, and we're leading towards the split of Hell No, with Daniel Bryan's obsession with not being good enough is what's going to cause them to break up and turning Daniel Bryan heel, which, God, you see those reactions he's getting in these crowds? Fans do not want to boo Daniel Bryan, and they're not going to. So you might as well turn Kane heel at this point. Or, like I said, you put him with the Wyatt family, we start over like that. But anyway, we'll talk about that later. Usos getting a nice shot in the arm and a nice win over the Primetime Players tonight. Usos might actually be back in contention for the Tag Team Championships. Smart move given the fact they're a babyface team and the Unstoppable Tag Team Champions are a heel team, so that works pretty well. So ADR gets the win over Big E Langston in the 5th and final match, and obviously he's on a collision course with Dolph Ziggler and the World Heavyweight Championship once Ziggler is able to compete again. So Sheamus defeats Cody Rhodes in a great match, but Damian Sandow and Sheamus still continue their little feud here. Fandango does not need to face Great Khali anymore. The match is basically Khali just got a couple shots in. Fandango slides out, trying to escape. Miz stops him. Barrett literally stops him. And this is all building up to that 3-way for the Intercontinental Championship, where the Miz loses his chance at the Intercontinental Championship, as does Wade Barrett losing the Intercontinental Championship when Fandango walks out of Payback as Intercontinental Champion. So, keep Hornswoggle off my television. I don't want to ever see him again. Natty Neidhart really needs to be wrestling and not seconding the Great Khali, because it's a waste of her. Miz and Barrett put on a great match, as they always did. Like I said, it's all building up towards the 3-way at Payback. Jericho and Punk, a really good contract signing with Jericho and Heyman going back and forth. 2 masters of the mic going face-to-face, and it worked really well. I like the segment overall, and I do like the fact that Punk's probably not going to show up to Chicago to wrestle that match. I think it'll be Jericho and Curtis Axel, and you've heard it here first. You heard it here first, folks. AJ leaves the Bellas hanging, and Caitlyn pins one of them, and that's going to be the end of that match. So we're leading towards the Divas Championship, AJ against Caitlyn, and I think that's also going to happen at Payback as well, if it doesn't happen on Raw before then, with AJ finally getting the Divas Championship. The Wyatt family are going to be unstoppable in WWE, and I cannot wait to see them debut. So if you guys haven't checked out any Bray Wyatt stuff, then check him out. If you thought you just saw Husky Harris in NXT, and you thought that NXT, or the Nexus in this case, if you saw Husky Harris in the Nexus, you thought that's all that he could offer. Oh no, he's got this really insane gimmick that's called Bray Wyatt, and just check it out on YouTube. You obviously, if you want to hear more about Bray Wyatt, just watch one of my NXT or SmackDown recaps. They're here on this pop playlist as well. Daniel Bryan gets another amazing match at Ryback. This night was all about Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan showcased in the opening 6-man and showcased in the semi-main with Ryback, and I made Ryback look vulnerable, which is also something that really didn't happen very much with Goldberg back in the day until he faced off against main event talent. But it proved that Ryback is fallible, and I think that is going to prove to his disadvantage. Curtis Axel winning another count-out victory over John Cena. I don't have a problem with that, because that's a heelish way to win, and that works for me. So, there's always that. So, yeah. Decent action-heavy edition of Raw last night, and I hope you guys watched it. If you guys didn't watch it, then go back and check it out on YouTube, or Hulu Plus, or letmewatchthis.ch, whether you want to catch it any way you can. Check it out. Matches you probably need to check out, definitely The Shield against Hell No and Randy Orton. You need to check out The Miz and Wade Barrett for what it was. It was actually pretty good. Alberto Del Rio and Biggie Langston. Sheamus and Cody Rhodes. The really awesome match with, the really awesome semi-main of Daniel Bryan and Ryback. And you know what? John Cena and Curtis Axel wasn't bad either. So, that was Raw. And we got a lot accomplished in a very long amount of time. We're almost an hour in. So, thank you guys for watching. If you like these videos, thumbs them up, do comment, do subscribe. If you want to be a member of the Popcaster Revolution, send me an email at siroandisney@gmail.com, or you can tweet me at @siroanddisney, or you can send me a message on Facebook at Owen Disney. So there's always that. And once again, tell your friends if you like these videos. Retweet these, share these videos on different social media, and get the word out about Pop and the Raw, Impact, SmackDown, and NXT recaps here for all you wrestling fans out there. I try to provide content for you guys as much as I possibly can. So, wrestling fans, we will talk again on Friday morning. We are going to be discussing TNA Impact from Thursday night, the fallout from Slammiversary, and we'll find out maybe some more hints on, or if we find out exactly who it is, the new signing for TNA, and what's going to happen with the new TNA Tag Team Champions, Cowboy James Storm and Gunner, as well as the new World Television Champion, Abyss, and fallout from Sting losing to Bully Ray with the World Heavyweight Championship on the line, thus making Sting unable to challenge for the world title ever again. So, there's always that, and more questions still being answered with TNA and the Aces and Eights, but we'll talk about that on Friday. WWE fans, join me on Saturday. We will be talking SmackDown and the best wrestling show that everyone is not watching, NXT. So we'll be talking NXT. Bo Dallas just won a Battle Royal, an 18-man over the top rope Battle Royal last week on NXT to determine a shot against Biggie Langston's NXT Championship. So that match, I believe, is next week. We've also got the Wyatt family taking on Cassius Ohno and Corey Graves next week. So that's going to be awesome, too. So check that out. Once again, I do want to mention another thing, too. I'm trying to get us to 10,000 views by the time 2013 is over. We are currently at 7119 as of this very moment. So, keep watching these videos. And if you like them, do comment, do subscribe, tell your friends to do the same. And until tomorrow, boys and girls, that's all I got to say about that.